Headlines, a daily graphic, and it says debate on LGBTQI+. Parliament's agenda set. Two groups entangle over the bill. And yesterday, we saw the Pentecostal Association and, of course, a team of Christians who had presented a petition. They said they are backing the passage of that bill into law. We'll get into that, but 81,081 deployed for national service. TOR IMC vows to end graft and crash barriers replaced. You remember that a few days ago there was a report that some people who were dressed like contractors had gone there. Contractors, pardon me, had gone there to steal those bars, and they were arrested subsequently or so. Now, Ghanaian Times says that Christian bodies present memorandum in support of LGBTQ+ bill to Parliament, and there's a photo of the clergy on their way to present the memos to Parliament yesterday. And Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim Awal, who is the Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, exchanging the MOU with Miss Mar Casanova Lorenz. With them is Ambassador Javier Gutierrez, and it says Ghana, Spain to create 1 million tourism jobs in 3 years. And later today, we'll have an extensive conversation on tourism, in fact, domestic tourism in the country. Look forward to that. Explosion at Drabin Oil Mills. 3 die, others injured. Very sad story of some KNUST students who are said to have been on an attachment there. And also, Access Bank Coronation Insurance partner to provide business protection for SMEs. And President inaugurates 3-story new Drabin North Municipal Assembly. On to the Vanguard, and it says on the top right, 13 Galamsey miners arrested. A photo of the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. Also, Ghana ranks second most peaceful nation. And then breaking the 8 is for continuity. Okay, then we have Nana Commission's mega project, human organs on sale, and it booms in the Gulf. And now to the Daybreak. We have a photo of the Information Minister, and it says GBC staff angry with Info Minister as GRA sees GBC land. Ghana's ports primed for gateway role, and President hints of a Bree Gardens redevelopment. I mean, it's about time, really. There have been major concerns about that. So I'm glad that a lot is being done or will be done to, of course, give it a facelift. Daily Ghanaian Guide says Akufo-Addo lauds Ireland's hard work on page 2. And Ghana's bauxite for peace to prevail gets Exxon cubic concession ratified. Otumfuo advises government. 7th African Engineering Week held in Ghana. And also NPP 2024 flag bearer raised. Legon political dawn drops bombshell, says Bawumia has no foundation in NPP. And finally, to the Daily Guide, it says that NSS releases 81,000 and over for 2021-2022 postings. Owusu Bempah petitions Attorney General. And I like only fried rice with chicken, says Abisim Cannibal. 10 picked in Afiade Nyegba robbery. That's it for the headlines this morning. I almost left out the Business and Financial Times. Let me do that quickly. Cocoa farmers to get $400 living income differential, according to Cocoa Board. Global Cargo and Commodities win 2 at 2021 Ghana Shippers Awards. And finally, business confidence declines over economic challenges. AGI advocates dedicated after implementation fund. Good morning to my guests who are in the studios with me this morning. George AC is the Director of Communications at NADMO. And looking at the fire that Johnny emitted this morning, I mean, it would be good to seek some answers from him. Good morning, George. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Everything okay?
By the grace of God.
Where were you last night when it was raining?
We're around the office, and some other people deployed to monitor the places.
Yeah. I see. Well, there's a lot that we'll be talking about concerning that. We'll touch on it briefly, by the way, before we move on. I haven't met my guest yet. I think this is my first time that I get to interact with you. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm sorry I didn't get your details, so pardon me for that, but we can still do it on air anyway.
Yeah, Osman Ayariga.
Osman Ayariga, good to see you in the studios. It's a pleasure. How are you, and where were you yesterday when it was raining?
Well, yesterday during the rain, I was at home,
and
parts of East Legon we didn't also have light. So
oh, you didn't have lights yesterday?
We didn't have lights yesterday.
But at least some cool weather to make up for.
We needed the lights.
We needed it anyway.
Yeah, so.
I mean, it's sad. I don't know if you've seen the photos and the videos of people whose homes were flooded, especially around the Odor area. George, I'll start off with you since, of course, this falls directly under, your doorstep. And people were in the flood waters. They had to come out as late as 9 p.m. because their homes were flooded. And this is an area where we were told that the Odo, had been dredged. In fact, as of June, we got an update from Honorable Asenso, and he said that about 400 million Ghana cedis had been spent on building drainages across the country, and the Odo had been drained as well. And so how did we come back to this problem, especially around Odona, if the Odo had been drained?
Yeah, thank you, Bella. Good morning to you. Good morning to my colleague. Good morning to our viewers. Let me wish His Excellency the Vice President a happy birthday today. The young man is actually peaking. I will wish you happy birthday, Your Excellency. Many, many happy returns.
Okay.
Yeah, Bella. Odo has been dredged. There's continuous dredging of the Odo. But the fact is, it doesn't take away that areas downstream the Odo still fall below the sea level, okay? And so any little flood inundates the area, and the people who are living around those areas, Adabraka, Sahara, and other places, are definitely going to be saddled with flood waters. And so that is it. So the draining and the continuous dredging, if you permit me to use the word, ameliorates the situation, but it doesn't take it away completely.
Okay.
You get it? And so that is how come area homes around that area still continue to, experience flood waters. We've not done major re-engineering and other things to say people should relocate. We are breaking all those people in these areas away and then resettling them.
Is that what we have to do to
those are major
address it
issues
completely?
Because if the places are low-lying, below sea level, then there's a problem, okay? These are temporary measures. These dredging and others are to bring temporary solutions to these problems. If drains are being constructed, that is okay. But then, and Johnny elucidated on some of them, the way we are putting our buildings, the way we are taking over Ramsey sites, okay? When I was growing up, if you came to Accra, you went to the Tertiary area and you saw Ramsey sites, okay? Places where water is collected, you get it. And then birds go to chirp there, eat, and they play over there. These days, we don't see those things. Those places have been filled. And then, so what it means is that those other water, otherwise, which would have been collected in those places, need to find their levels, okay?
Okay.
And so they will need to find play. And then homes where the rainwaters would have dropped and percolated into the soil are concrete, you get it, and so they need to find their levels. And so the volume of water, Matthew also tells you, the volume of water that drops on the ground when it rains these days is so high, okay? And it's compounded by some of these things that otherwise would have percolated into the soil, need to find their levels. And so the water levels are also high. So these are challenges, yes. What we can say is that governments should continuously invest. I keep saying this, and I pray, it's implemented and implemented soon. The GARIT project, the Greater Accra Resilience Integrated Development Project, it's a 200 million World Bank sponsored project. If it's done, it's going to cover about 17 districts in the Greater Accra region, okay? And it involves re-engineering of some of the areas so that the water can then move and homes will be saved, okay? So that is a major engineering work, and I look forward as an ADMO officer to the implementation of these things so that it can abate some of the challenges and difficulties we encounter when it rains for just 2 hours.
Okay, but would you say then that it's a communication problem? Because again, the people on the ground have the notion that once we say the Odona has been dredged or it's continuously being dredged, then we're not likely to experience the floods.
No, the people on the ground don't think so.
They don't think so?
They know the situation in those catchment areas. They know it's going to maybe abate, but completely take it off. They know where they are is actually flood prone. They've been there, they know 1 hour of rain, there's no way they are going to escape that. And that's how Johnny was talking about evacuation centers, what I refer to as the safe havens and co, that have been identified in places so that those who live in such areas can relocate to those places for safety and then after the rains, they can get back home.
What's the update on that? Because last night there were people who were stranded, didn't have anywhere to go. And they were calling on government to support them because they had lost properties.
Yes, you know, when the rains get into your rooms and go, definitely. Even if you move to the safe haven, okay, they identify like a church, a park, even the Independence Square and co. You come back to meet your room submerged underwater, right? And then you have to, you know, tidy up things, okay? So definitely you call on government to come and assist. You get it? And so that is their right to call on government and others. What it means is that the NADMO officers and co will do assessment and see what kind of support can be given them.
As at 9 p.m. yesterday, NADMO was not on the grounds at Donna.
Yeah, no. You know, this morning follow-ups will be made, right?
So they're now going there this morning?
Yeah, no, there are some, if it's an emergency case, we put our numbers out. If it's an emergency and people are trapped and death, imminent death or stranded and co, if you call us, we'll be there to help save you.
But they don't need to call you. It was on the news yesterday. I mean...
No.
Of course.
No, NADMO cannot be everywhere in Accra.
No, but we know
that's why we have teams, standby teams. Yes, we have. So we position them closer to those places. So when you call them, we direct the team there. I've been called by the Honorable Francis Xavier Susu, lawyer, okay, because his people were stranded seriously. He called me. I had to get a team dispatched to the area to save the situation. You get it? Because there was a team, a tango position closer to the area. You get it? So these are the issues. They are there. If there's an emergency issue, then we dispatch a team to go. Because there are some, there's flood, you've been able to go to safety. When you finish, you come back, you put your things together. That's not an emergency.
So you are saying that the people from, especially at Abraka, should have called the NADMO offices?
Oh, no, if they were in danger.
Were they not in danger? The water was all the way up to their waist level and even above. We don't consider that dangerous?
Oh, no. So we had told them some of the places where they can seek safety. Okay? In that area. So they will move there for their safety. After the rains, they will come back. But the rooms will still be, you know, underwater. And so they need to then put that place together. If, for instance, somebody is there and trapped, you cannot even assess the safe haven identifier. That is danger. So that when you call, we dispatch a team to come and help move you. You know, the military 48 engineers, 2 years ago or so, they put their boats in the water around the Sahara area to save people. I
have been in that boat before. I mean, on June 3rd, after the June 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
So I know about that. I'm just a little concerned. Okay, so for the people also in that area, and of course these flood-prone areas, especially at Dabraka, I want to know, where's the nearest evacuation center for them? Do you have those details?
Yeah, I don't have the details, but there's a church around there.
And that's serving as an evacuation center?
It's identified, yes, as one of the places that they can move to.
Okay. Yeah. Well, again, Osman Ayariga is a member of the communications team of the NDC. Welcome again. I don't know what you think of the situation yesterday. Again, you know, the idea that we've been told that your door has been dredged. I mean, naturally, if you live in that area or you're Ghanaian, you might assume that because of that, we will not experience this extent of flooding again. But we saw that happen yesterday. Were you surprised?
Well, first and foremost, let me say good morning to you, good morning to my brother, and good morning to your lovely viewers. And it's rather unfortunate what happened yesterday, because I also watched everywhere on social media, traditional media, everywhere how people were actually displaced, people were rendered homeless, just as a result of 2 hours of downpour. As a country and as a nation, so many years after independence and after experiencing most of these floods, we shouldn't be where we are as a nation. And most especially NADMO, I am personally and particularly disappointed in how NADMO has operated in the past years, not to blame just a specific government. But you see, NADMO is there not just to share blankets or to go out there and try to sympathize with people, share oil, share rice and all of that. They are also supposed to mitigate, supposed to project and know where exactly exactly or how floods and other disasters will strike. Sometimes even predict and project and know when and how it's going to strike, so that you can try as much as possible to mitigate some of these disasters. But if all we are doing, or if all NADMO is doing so far, what I've seen is that we just wait when the floods hit, then we just go out there, we look for blankets, we look for rice, we look for oil, we donate to them, and at the end of the day, we don't see what happens. Now, it's a different thing, or I can forgive NADMO if maybe there's a new development of a flood somewhere, maybe in Cantonment or somewhere maybe around TV3 that has never happened before. Then you can come on with a research to find out what actually caused this flood or this new development. But we are talking of the Odo and its surroundings. This is not the first time. This is not the second time. This is not the third time. And I don't think it's even the fourth time. It doesn't look like it's going to be the last time. You understand? That is my difficulty as a person and the disappointment I have in everybody, most especially NADMO. Now, if we also try to politicize everything, then we would surely get exposed by some of these rainfalls. I remember in the June 3rd event, after it happened, we all came together, tried to dredge the Odo River. I remember the company engineers and planners tried to dredge the Odo River for us for free, and it became a huge political issue. People, because he was related to the president at the time, people made it a whole political issue. Trust me, I'm not saying if he had continued, then maybe the flood we won't be meeting floods this year, but at least it would have mitigated it to a certain extent. And the NPP government would have come to also continue at a point, because it's continuous. But what do we see? We decide to play politics with everything, even with the floods. And that is why we are where we are as it stands now. But and with the whole issue about, I mean, the monies that are involved in trying to redesign and restructure the
400 million cedis. That's at June 2021. That's how much we spent.
We hear all these figures day in, day out. I don't know. Honestly, I don't see, and I am yet to really understand how some of these figures are being expended, how many cubic meters of concrete or how many cubic meters of drains it has constructed, and what it has done so far. Not only that, even the Sino Hydro and all of that were all part of the monies that were supposed to be invested to redesign and reorganize Accra's flooding situation. But if you spend even 1 million Ghana cedis, and I see changes so far as floods are concerned, and you come and tell me you've spent 500 million, and I still don't see the changes, then the figures doesn't make sense to anybody. Because what Ghanaians and what people who live around these areas want to see is that whether you spend 1 billion or you spend 100,000, they just want to make sure that they experience no flooding.
But that's what George is saying, that, I mean, if you really want to tackle this head on, then you might have to evacuate the people from that area for a while and restructure the entire, community before they move back in, so that you can really address the problem. But if you're only dredging the Odo, I mean, that would just to a large extent mitigate it, but would not prevent it. Well, is this something that we should have done? And it's not just this government. We've been addressing floods for God knows how long in this country.
Yeah, I think it's something we must do to save everybody. If people have to be evacuated, if people have to be moved from where they are, if people have to be displaced, then they must be displaced to be able to make way for water to flow. And this won't be the first time people will be displaced or people will be evacuated. I think the regional minister just evacuated some people from, I think, the Kokompe area or so.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the place is looking very clean now. So if we have to evacuate people, irrespective of who they are, irrespective of who they vote for, if the country or the government is actually interested in fighting some of these things, we should be able to evacuate them, get the place reorganized, then we can find a way to bring them back so that when it rains, the water will find its level and humans can also live.
But it wasn't easy. I mean, evacuating the people from Kokompe especially.
Nothing is easy.
The protest that came with that. There are people who even tried to come back again.
Nothing is easy.
Because they said that, the place that was given to them was not up to standard for them, which is why they tried to move back. I mean, it's easy if you want to move people out, but where are you taking them to? And will that be an okay place for them in the meantime? Do we even have that?
Well, I haven't gone through the redesign and the restructuring of the drains, you understand? But what I know is that also being into some of the design conferences and all of that, I mean, those two activities can happen coterminously, you understand? We can still redesign and still have the people around. We can redesign and make sure that we don't necessarily have to move everyone. If movement is also a difficulty, just like we construct roads and cars are still plying the roads. So it's, I find it very difficult to believe that for all these years, the major problem just has to do with moving people. I find it very difficult to. And unless there's something they are all not telling us. But I mean, it's very sad that in this 21st century, we are still dealing with Odo and its environment. So many years, people have lost their lives. So much money has gone down the drain. But at the end of the day, I'm sure my big brother and his people will go and donate rice and oil to the people.
I'll let George respond to this issue about NADMO, the fact that he says that he's disappointed, and not just, you know, in this tenure, but over the years, how NADMO has responded to, issues like this in the past. And the fact that, of course, we're supposed to even identify the problem before it happens so that we can be on the ground when it happens to help these people.
On the ground. I don't know whether he listened to me when I was speaking about issue of people on standby when it's raining and people are moving. Okay, we have standby teams that are moving everywhere to save people. I told you about a certain MP and the call and the teams that are dispatched. So it's not about sharing oil and rice. Okay? We are involved in the actual work of safety.
But
search
on many
and rescue
occasions,
team.
we
have a search and rescue team
NADMO come
at NADMO.
days after whatever situation has occurred. Days after.
NADMO's responsibility is pre-disaster, disaster, and post-disaster.
But in many cases, have we not experienced NADMO?
Your cameras will come. Yeah, your cameras will come when it's post-disaster, when the incident had happened. That's why you're interested to be in the incident. Okay. When there's a pre-disaster community sensitization and education and other things, you're not there, right? But when there's an incident like what happened yesterday, your team was out there. We are looking at it, okay? It's, yes, very important. You get it. So that is, you know, pushing or beaming the situation live to everybody, okay? Then after that, people trying to resettle or build back better, okay? What is the involvement of NADMO? We are there. So these are things that, you know, we train our men and all that to rescue people and to save lives and properties. Okay, we identify that we know the Glyph area. And the issue of resettlement is not just by just word of mouth. Okay, if you are taking an entire community away from where they are, you need to resettle them, build a new place and move them. It's capital intensive.
But your first job is to prevent the disaster from happening.
Yes. No, there are certain areas,
which is what I was saying earlier, that in many areas we go there and the people say it's been 2 days, 3 days. We've not even seen any NADMO official.
Dredge masters, what they do, and the continuous dredging they do, what is the objective? What is the objective? To prevent the area from flooding in it, okay? But yet, as I told you, because of the peculiar nature of the area, it's challenging, okay? And so when there is an issue, then how do you ensure that the people entangled in the area are brought to safety? That's the most important thing. That's the priority of the NADMO official. Before, you know, other assessments are made, okay? Livelihood, somebody is a baker. Because of this flood, all the items she uses submerged underwater. Livelihood gone. How do you bring that person back? Okay, those things, NADMO then will make assessment and make recommendation for support. Those things are done. Okay, so, you know, that is the situation as we go. But there are certain places that I've been saying, and I will insist, needs radical re-engineering. Okay? Re-engineering. Then we can be making progress. Otherwise, if it's as is now, and most of our MCSIs turn into residential areas, then there's going to be a problem.
The Circle Dubai interchange, we're told that that project was supposed to a large extent, mitigate flooding in that area.
It wasn't.
I remember that there was an engineer that even did an assessment in that area and said that it was not built to standard, which is why when it rains, we don't have the water seeping.
Yes.
And that's why it remains.
But he advised that those drains be included. But, you know, when he realized that they were building without factoring those drains in, he made a report, a submission to it that it be included. But, you know, they thought it was a sheet late or something. That was not factored in. Hence, a little rain, the whole place is flooded. Because there should have been underground tunnels that would take the water into the Odo so that it would then spill it into the sea. That was not factored. And so that is what the big challenge is. I am saying that now we know, can't we you know, factor it, bring it in, and do something about it.
Especially for that area. So
yes,
what are we going to do about it?
Going
because
forward.
We've
posited that many times, and I think that such engineers are still around. Okay, let them see what they can do to factor that in to be able to resolve that challenge, because that place is a fantastic place, the infrastructure fantastic. But then, because we did not factor the drainage into the whole, you know, exercise, there's a big challenge.
What is the game plan of NADMO to prevent disaster? Which is what I've been asking you, because I remember the president, you know, put together an entire team or asked, you know, the organizations to come up with a game plan on how to prevent disaster.
No, there's a disaster plan specific, you know, hazard. What is it? Flood hazard? Is it earthquake hazard? You know, hazardous materials, which, you know, so specific.
But
plan,
since we're talking about, you know, flooding this morning,
yes. So
what has been the game plan for
yes,
that?
There's a team that has been working. There was a flood plan. I think the last one was, is it 2010 or 2009 or so, and revised, I think, 2019 or thereabout. And that is what, you know, is being implemented, okay? And so that, but most of the issues, the issue is that most of the things that we need to do are not hinged on NADMO. Most of the things that ought to be done, for instance, drains, construction of drains and co, is not within the remit of NADMO. It is with the Hydrological Services Department and the Ministry of Works and Housing. Okay, and so we will see some of these things, and in our report to Ministry of Works and Housing, we will incorporate some of these challenges.
But you sit at that desk that gives approval for all of these.
You know, you put your report and proposals forward. There is another institution that is to implement that. The assemblies are also part. Okay, they, you know, for instance, if somebody builds on waterway, it's not NADMO's responsibility to go stop the person on.
But you cannot exclude yourself from it necessarily.
No, you don't have. You'll be acting ultra vires, okay, out of your power. If you go stopping, you will recommend to the assembly that Ayariga is putting up a building here. We have, based on our assessment, it's on the waterway, and he's going. He said something interesting that if an otherwise unknown place, last time Paraco Estate, we had floods there. We were surprised when the investigations were conducted. We realized somebody had built on waterway. You get it, and so then you need to take a report to assembly to act on that. They must also maybe go to the law courts to get, you know, the authority to go and pull down the structures and others. So it is, you know, a process, and sometimes the powers are not actually concentrated where you think it ought to be. So you need to contact the ones that have the power to execute, to do that. Okay. Then we can make progress.
Osman, I'll let you touch on this briefly before we carry on with our next topic.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that most of the time when some of these floods occur, we lump every issue on NADMO. But I'm tempted to side with him on a few things he said. Because you see, for us to be able to mitigate it, it's not just NADMO's mandate. There's Ministry of Works and Housing involved. There's Ministry of Roads involved. There's Meteorological Service involved. And there's even the town and country planning. So if all these agencies don't work together and try to mitigate it, at the end of the day, they will still have floods. And of course, the only thing that will be left for NADMO to do is to distribute blankets and oil. So I think what they need to do is for all of these agencies to come together, try as much as possible to come with a comprehensive plan as to how they can get towards some of these things. Otherwise, next year, we'll still come back here on this same desk, in this same studio, talking about floods.
I know, but I mean, if you've mentioned all these agencies that are supposed to work hand in hand to prevent some of these disasters, we have people who are building on waterways. Exactly. And even recently, I mentioned that somewhere inside Ablekuma, there's someone who's built a block factory on a waterway.
And who are those giving them the permit? Town and country planning,
but that's
assemblies,
the we
and all of that.
Them build on waterways, and then when the floods come, that is when we act. Are we not just being reactive instead of being proactive?
In fact, we are even doing none of the two, because we are not being reactive, we are not even being proactive, because even after the floods occur, it takes a very long time for us to even get to them. And that is also part of the problem. So if all of these agencies don't work together, if NADMO doesn't really push that, come on, if someone is building waterways, we don't care whether the person has a permit from the assembly or the person has a permit from town and country planning, that building must go down, otherwise whenever there's a rain, so many people are going to suffer from such an action. But until that is done, trust me, we will still be discussing.
NASPO doesn't have the authority to say.
Yeah,
it will recommend that Bella should act.
Yes,
yes, it ends there.
All right.
But Bella, you know, yes, there can be good engineering. Recently, Europe, New York City is what happened? Yes, but that is not an excuse anyway. But the challenges are there. What steps do we take collectively, as Ayariga said, so that we can mitigate the effect of these flooding on the people?
Okay.
In Accra, especially.
Well, earlier this month, we were told by the communications minister that we all, as Ghanaians, will have to re-register our SIMs using our Ghana card. Otherwise, if we don't do this between this month and March 2022, we risk having our SIM cards deactivated. Now, the minority has raised objections to this, and not just the minority, but of course, Ghanaians have been questioning why we have to use only the Ghana card stipulated by the minister and not other cards, because we have the passports, we have the voters ID card, which was done brand new before the 2020 elections. And so why are we being asked to use just the Ghana card and not any of these other forms of identification? And so the minority has spoken, and of course we had the deputy ranking member on the communications committee. He's also the MP for Ningo Pram Pram, Honorable Sam George, and he has, of course, along with the minority, issued some 4 solutions, and he's asking that government implements these solutions so as to protect Ghanaians all across the country. And so I'll just read some of them briefly. So first of all, he's saying that it is important for government to withdraw that threat to deactivate all valid SIMs by March 2022 if they are not registered using the Ghana card. They should also scrap the physical visit to an agent of a service provider to provide authentication for the document, and also an integrated referencing on databases on passport of the Passport Office, DVLA, NHIA, and SNIT with the NIA database, whose cards are largely used as primary documents for previous SIM registration. And finally, they are asking and demanding the use of the Ghana passport, the driver's license, EC voters ID card in the registration of the voters ID. I'll just come to you, Osman, quickly on this particular issue. Why is it that necessary? I mean, there's a law that backs the use of the Ghana card to register your SIM card. And so why are we asking that, government rescinds on that?
Well, first and foremost, why are we even re-registering all of these SIM cards?
We're told to prevent fraud or to reduce.
Yes, so there was already a SIM registration exercise. Your SIM is registered, my SIM is registered, everyone's SIM is registered in the first place. So in the first place, there was a SIM registration so as to reduce fraud and so as to reduce crime. So if there's now a new system, which is the Ghana card, and you now want to put all of this data together, then first and foremost, how did we even get the Ghana card? We use our passports, we use the voters ID card and all of that to get a Ghana card. So if you want to, try as much as possible to now link the Ghana card to the SIM card, that means that per the Ghana card data, you already have our data as far as our passports and our driver's license and all of that is concerned. So if I go back to re-register, once I bring out my passport or my driver's license and you pick it up, you should be able to link it to the Ghana card and register the SIM. Because don't forget that not everyone has the Ghana card as it stands now. So if you want to go on a sole arbitrary order that we must use the Ghana card, then it becomes problem. Just yesterday, I went to MTN. I don't know whether I'm mentioning the name of the network. It's all right. I went to MTN to have a transaction, and they were not even accepting Ghana card because they said it's not part of their system. I needed.
What were they accepting?
The driver's license.
Okay.
Even the voters ID, the old voters ID.
They're still accepting that?
Yes, they are not accepting the new voters ID. They are not accepting the new voters ID. They're accepting the old voters ID.
Did they give a reason why?
They said they don't have it in their system.
Okay.
They are yet to put in their system. They don't have the data and all. I mean, all sorts of excuses. So I had to just bear with them because I needed to go about my transaction. So this is the situation which we find ourselves. And in fact, the minority's position too was that, I mean, per the LI 2111, section 7 of it, it doesn't only state that you should use a particular card to do the SIM registration. It allows you to use other cards. So why is the NIA stressing on the fact that we must use the Ghana card solely for this re-registration. If the NIA is serious and wants to put all of this data together, then once I come out with a driver's license, with a voter's ID card, they should be able to link all of those data, all of that data together. Then that is our difficulty. And our difficulty is that not everyone even has the Ghana card.
But Professor Tefua of the NIA mentioned that the passport lacks credibility to some extent, because he remembers that when they were doing the registration for the NIA cards, there were people who were presenting passports that were not acquired the right way. And so there are non-Ghanaians who tried to get the NIA card using a passport that showed that they were Ghanaian, but in actual fact they weren't Ghanaian, which is why they are ruling out all other ID cards and asking every Ghanaian to use just the Ghana card.
So if Prophet Tefua himself now is trying to not believe in the credibility of the passport, should we also now believe in the credibility of the Ghana card 100%? They are systems, and you and I know how systems work. One way or the other, people will try as much as possible to circumvent the system. So if you have a few passports that are found in the hands of wrong people, trust me, you can't tell me that Ghana card is found in the hands of every right person. By all means, there will be some miscreants out there who would have been able to beat the system. That is not enough reason to tell us that you are discarding the entire passport. How many more credible or legitimate legal passports do we have in the system? So many. So if you're able to identify a few of them due to one or two system lapses, that doesn't mean that you discard the entire system and tell us that because of A, B, C, D, you won't use the passport. So I don't think that argument really holds water if he wants us to actually believe in what they are doing. So our argument has been that the sole order that the only form of re-registration is to use the Ghana card. It's rather unfortunate, it's arbitrary, it's capricious, and shouldn't be accepted. And for that matter, other forms of identification, other ID cards should be accepted. Simplicity, we don't see how difficult that can be.
Okay, George, do you agree with that? Of course, the minority is saying that you should even withdraw the threat in the first place.
What is the
if
threat?
people are not able to register
threat?
their SIM cards by March 2022 with the Ghana card, it will be deactivated. They say that is, to an extent, an infringement on the rights of people.
Bella, we've all been in the university. I've been a class premier at the university, and I remember when we were given assignment, everybody waits till the nick of time, okay? Because there's a deadline that by Friday, you should, 8th of October, submit the assignment. Then, you see, 3 o'clock Friday before people rushing to submit there. So deadlines are there to motivate you to work to meet timelines. So, and two, we've done this before. There's been about 2-3 times of extension, if you will be fair to the situation. So if they've placed a deadline, phase 1, definitely they're challenged. I tried registering mine. It didn't work. So there's actually go to the nearest NIA point. You get it. So it's not my fault.
You tried registering your SIM?
Yes,
okay.
You know, I tried it 3 times, it didn't work. You know, but I had a friend who did, and it worked. So they said I should go to the nearest NIA office. You have my NIA card, I used it, my number, everything. 3 times it didn't work. You get it. So there will be challenges. And so the time given, we are in October. And March, you know, about 6 months therefrom, you get it. So March, you know, 2022, 6 months. And so people are to have time, and it takes less than a minute to do the whole thing if it goes through. You get it? So let's be, yes, I don't have a problem with them calling on that thing, but I think it's to guide us. So if you know you are within a timeline to register, majority of the people would have done that. When there is some, at the end of that March, and there are some people, the communications minister is the mother. She would assess it and see whether there's going to be an extension. It will be done. Again,
but should we not integrate a database, George?
Yes.
I mean, you take my biometrics when I register for a Ghana card.
I was coming there.
Even for the voter's ID card.
When I went to register for my Ghana card, all my cards were taken. My SNET card, whatever, voters,
so you have my details
passport.
already in the database. Why do I still need to present a Ghana card if I have a passport?
No.
If I had my NHI, my voter's ID card?
No. Every country must have a base data, a base document.
So
what is the reference? The reference, we all want Ghana card. And Ghana card, you know, voter's card is 18 and above. Ghana card, I think, is 15, right? Yes. So there's a bit more people added onto this thing. So if all of us are saying Ghana card is our base document for business transactions and co, let's then begin to, you know, make good use of it.
But when you travel, you use your passport.
Yes,
you know,
I'm at
have
a
your
loss.
fingerprints taken, and that even determines where you're coming from.
But
It
that
has
is
all your details in the
yes,
database.
And I told you when I went to do my Ghana card, my passport, everything, they took everything. So what it means is that they've put them in sync with my Ghana card. Okay, synchronization is there. So definitely they will have information about my SNIT number and all that because they took those things. Okay, my driver's license, everything. They took it on that day. So it means there's a process of synchronization. Now, they're saying the Ghana card, I'm worried that Osman is saying still a giant organization like MTN is still having difficulty accepting Ghana card and co.
Why? Oh, yeah, but there are other institutions that are not taking the new voters ID card.
That's where, yes.
But if you present your passport,
I've been to some banks, you know, that was the beginning after we done the new registration and they were not taking, I understood them. But if as of today, I go back and you still want to use the old card, I will have a problem. That's where timelines are important. Communications Ministry should tax the banks and the telcos and others, give them deadline. That Ghana card is the best document, okay? So it is time you work, and I think there's a fee to be paid when you use some of these. Maybe that is why they're pussyfooting. Okay, I don't know.
Is that really it, or just the stress in going through all of this?
Stress?
I mean, shouldn't
MTN
you already have a
Ghana
database
and NIA together?
When you register for NIA,
Bella, what is
for
the
NHIA, you use your phone number.
Yes, what is the challenge? What is the
why
challenge?
don't we just send that to our details online instead of asking us to do it?
Star 404 hash. Just do that and follow the process, and then you are hooked on. What is the big deal? You doing it from your home so that you are assured and guaranteed that your card is now in the system. Okay? It's a good thing for you yourself. Okay? But I think the issue of passport and co, we used it as a, but I think maybe we should look at it. The minority suggestion, Communications Ministry, NIA and co should look at it. Whether we can, because passport, like it or not, whether it's properly or fraudulently acquired, it is the document that we use for our international travel.
Exactly.
Okay? And so we cannot downplay it. We need to give it that recognition, okay? It is the property of the government of Ghana, okay? And so we cannot just completely discard it. Passport is a very important document for every Ghanaian, and so let's see whether we can consider its usage. But I thought in the process of registration of NIA, the synchronization, so I think they have some details.
Which is what should have been done.
Yes, that's why they say bring the Ghana card, and then, you know, we are good to go. But let's see if there are challenges with the Ghana card and these other documents. Let's look at them. Okay. And then we bet, I agree that the primary document as of today should be the Ghana card and nothing.
It should be the Ghana card?
It should be the Ghana card.
And so if I don't have it, then what happens?
Then you go and do it. There's opportunity. You know, they've opened the window. Every district where, you know, I think they are not in every district yet. They are rolling out offices in all districts. And so if you don't have it, there are processes. If you don't have it at all, you don't pay nothing. There's something they say is a VIP or something. That's where you pay some 250 or something, and then some 25 CDs. And yes, if you are going for replacement and other. But if you're going, you don't have it at all. You go, you don't pay nothing.
The Vice President, you know, spoke on this issue, and he said that it is good that we'll have to re-register SIM cards because then, to a large extent, it will reduce fraud. Now, the minority leader in Parliament, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, says that he's ill-informed if he thinks that re-registering your SIM card is going to solve the issue of fraud and theft.
It should, but unfortunately, the way we are doing our registration and co is challenging. Bella, when you go registering, I had a certain number. You know, you meet the vendor by the road, and then he's able to do all those things and gives it to you. You go, you get it. What shows, sometimes they don't even, if you don't have any card, they'll register you and give it to you. Some are also already registered and they'll give it to you. I've seen those things, I've encountered those. There's a why. Because I'm supposed to come to your office, you go into the data and take my details and register me. That's what I did for my MTN. You get it? And I got another thing, I got it by the roadside. Okay? Even though that one I showed my card, but I saw they did it for someone who didn't have a card. So I didn't understand that. If we are going to follow the process, there's a database, reference to the database, then you have all these information about, because when we travel, we get a point that you put your passport down, they enter things, they have details about you. That's where we seek to go. That's what the vice president is pushing, the digitalization and co. You get it? And then the identification of every Ghanaian. And so if we still have challenges that people can register without recourse to the proper processes, then there's a problem, okay? And so that's what problem we seek to do away with. Let's help the system. Let's help the communications minister. Let's help all the other players in the industry to ensure that we do the proper thing so that a single number can easily be linked to Bellamundi and Bellamundi alone.
But it says that you can register as many as 10 SIMs per person.
No, whatever it is, the mapping. Okay, those 10 SIMs all will be mapped to one Bellamundi.
But we know that these criminals can find a way to circumvent it anyway.
No, I have the right to have Tigo, Airtel Tigo, Vodafone,
I get you.
MTN. But all will be registered with my Ghana card.
Yeah, but we have all those in place. I mean, and still people are circumventing it.
Yes, that is
even
what
passport.
Re-registration, all these will be cutting, you know, we learn from the first one, the processes by which they are able to circumvent. Then you begin to close those gaps. You do the next one. I'm not saying we should continue doing it anyway. But this one, maybe they've learned something and they are plugging certain holes to be able to stop these fraudulent people from.
But there's no guarantee it will stop.
There's no. People,
it might reduce, but will it stop?
It might reduce, but completely stop it. We have people, banks are, you think they put everything out? People are hacking into their systems. You get it? And stealing monies, but the banks will not tell you because it will erode your confidence in them that they are protecting your funds. I read an article by one IT, a cyber expert, that the challenges in the system with our digitalization drive is good, but the other parts, people hack into the system and can steal some few pounds, okay, or cedis, and yet the bank will not tell you that this has happened. This is the challenge they are facing, but they are doing a lot of is it fence walling or whatever? There's a cyber term for it to protect your funds and co in their system.
There's a conspiracy theory, quickly, before I go to Osman as well, that, I mean, in pushing for this to happen, then someone is benefiting from a certain contract. When we can easily just synchronize, we have biometrics, we have all that. But again, we're being told that go and register with your Ghana card.
No, sit in your house and you do the punching. But I had a challenge.
Would someone still get a contract anyway?
So I had a no, as for contract, I don't know. But definitely,
do you know who's doing this contract?
I don't know.
But it's a contract that's been given to somebody.
I can tell whether there's a contract.
There's a contract that's been given to somebody.
I can tell, But let's not be focusing too much on who is doing what and taking what. You get it? What's important is, are we formalizing the system? Is it going to help in our business transactions? Okay? You know that the cost of credit is part of the informal or improper identification processes that you don't know where I live. You can't easily trace. I'll give you some address and it's difficult. But with these addressing system, GPS and everything we are doing, gradually we are moving towards that, okay? So that would then affect the cost of credit to reduce it because it's easy to identify people.
Osman, come in for me. So the Mobile Money Agents Association are very happy with this new directive for the re-registration of SIM cards because they're saying that at the end of the day, they're the ones who lose the most. They lose so much money as a result of fraudulent activities, you know, on these mobile banking, you know, transactions. In fact, they're the ones who petitioned MTN, for example, to introduce the ID cards before withdrawal, and they did. And they said that to a large extent that helped them to save some money. And so if they're asking for us to re-register our cards, it's a step in the right direction, and they accept it wholeheartedly. Because they will also be protected.
Bella, the issue here is not about we not accepting re-registration. The problem we have is the process in which we want to go about this re-registration. Yes, everybody wants to try as much as possible to reduce the rate at which fraud and, you know, crime is being perpetrated in society. But the problem we have is we're trying to downplay such an important document as the passport just to elevate the Ghana card. That is the difficulty we have.
No, you're not downplaying to elevate.
George, please let him.
The difficulty we have is trying to downplay such an important document, such as the passport, just to elevate the Ghana card. Now, you tell us that at the moment, you are not accepting any other document to re-register the SIM card. However, if I want to register my SIM card as of today, I should now take my passport or my voter's ID card, go get a Ghana card, then now use that Ghana card to go and re-register the SIM card. I mean, why this cumbersome process? If you have all that data, if you have my data as far as Ghana, passport is concerned, if you have my data so far as voter's ID card is concerned, if you have my data so far as any other form of identification is concerned in there, and I now go to register my SIM card, you should be able to just synchronize all of this together, as he was using that word. You should be able to synchronize all of that together. We don't necessarily need to tell the Ghanaian populace or the Ghanaian people that you must use a Ghana card to be able to register for your SIM card. That is how difficult, because we have other forms of identification. So why must we say that the only form of identification to be able to re-register the SIM card is just the Ghana card? You're saying it's a base document, but however, the base document which you're talking about also has base documents. So if you cannot depend on the base document which was used to manufacture or used to create this same document, then what are we looking at?
Do you know Le Karate or whatever?
You understand? If you don't trust the base document which was used to produce this base document you want us to use to produce a card, then what are we doing? Aren't we just running in circles?
One basic pointer.
But that's what he's saying. When we were going to register for the Ghana card,
that's the base document.
We're using the passport.
No, some make the argument, Bella, let's simple. Birth certificate. I need it as a prerequisite to get my passport. Can the birth certificate replace my passport when I'm traveling?
The birth certificate is not identification.
You have the passport.
So what are you talking about?
And if you can use passports in bank transactions,
everyone has this role that it plays.
Why can
Ghana card is the main listing. Okay, I use the birth certificate to get a passport, but I cannot travel outside with my birth certificate. No.
So very soon, I mean, because the banks have also started sending messages that you need your Ghana card for transactions.
Yes.
So then the voter's ID card is only used for votes and nothing else?
That should be it.
Okay.
That should be it.
But it is a form of identification.
Voter's card is a stopgap measure. It's not for identification. You have to use it to
final words,
because we didn't have
Osman,
it. That's why we
final words.
Yeah, so how difficult? I thought we'd have touched on the Ghana Law School.
I was hoping we would, unfortunately.
I was looking at it.
Well, I think I told you I was looking at law school. Maybe tomorrow we'll touch on it. But yes, the students are not excited about it at all, because now they've been told that if you scored 50% overall, but you did not get past 50% in the 2 sessions of the exam, then that is the reason why you were added to those who were said to have failed the exam. And
there's
so
a criteria for everything. So
they weren't told. They weren't told before writing the exam that you would have to get at least 50% pass mark.
Let's expand our infrastructure and give. People have had first class, and they are failing entrances. It's worrying.
But I mean,
we'll
have to go, by the way.
It's difficult. I mean, it's rather unfortunate that someone could score maybe 57 and the person cannot go through. I mean, it's an exam. You have one section which is over 60, and you have one which is over 40. If someone decides to get 55 over 60 in the first section and even score 0, so mean that the person cannot go in.
Anyway, well, maybe tomorrow we'll touch on it. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen. George Ayisi is the Director of Communications at NADMO, and Osman Ayariga is a member of the comms team of the NDC. Today, like I mentioned, we're heavy on tourism, domestic tourism. And so where would you travel to, and what would be your concerns about traveling across the country? We'll be right back. This is TV3 New Day.
Water gives life. Water is life. Enjoy the pure, refreshing taste of Awake purified drinking water.